Next is Dan Collins with Depression is Not My Co-Pilot.
Depression. It sounds like something you'd see a plastic surgeon about. We'll inject some collagen into this depression in the side of your face, you look great. Depression, as in the Great Depression, was just that, a time of great economic upheaval, which undoubtedly sent many Americans, hungry, jobless, and homeless, into clinical depression. Depression, it's that dip in the road that becomes a sinkhole that it swallows your car, or your sanity, or your life. Oh, it's a ponderous word, this depression. Author William Styron felt the word like the punch needed to truly describe this insidious condition. He pondered brainstorm, but that word already came with its own baggage. While brainstorm typically invokes visions of eureka moments, a flourish of ideas, depression is often quite the opposite. In depression, I learned, one does not soar to exhilarating heights of insight, but rather we ooze, typically toward nothing other than the fetal position in our beds. Depression is sometimes the disease, and sometimes it's a symptom of another disease. And it's not an only child. It has many siblings. Take its typically more jittery cousin, anxiety. Anxiety and I are also very well acquainted, an issue I suffered since childhood. In kindergarten, I was too anxious to speak for myself, so I often gave response to my childhood friend, Marky. He was my emotional human shield I used to protect myself. As I grew, Marky disappeared from my life, but anxiety and the depression it breeds remained constant companions, my life's co-pilots. I was a kid, so I didn't even know what the word was, anxiety. I told my mom that I just felt nervous. In school, I remember wondering, what am I so nervous about? Why is this happening? My dad liked to tell me the story of me as a high school student staying up all hours to make sure a paper was typed perfectly. A mistake, a smudged paper, tear it up, do it again. Never mind, it's 3 a.m. He insisted, you don't have to do it this way. Then myself in tears crying out, it's the only way I know. This was obsessive-compulsive behavior, and as I would find years later, the key to understanding my pain. It took a moment of critical mass to impel me to seek help. Spring, 1991. Feeling as though I were being devoured by a panic attack that would never end, I became a man possessed. I had to understand what was happening to me. I'd jump in the car and drive to malls to purchase books about mental health. I visited churches. I called NAMI, National Alliance for Mental Illness. I went to hospital ERs, hoping, praying to be seen, horrified at the notion that I might have to wait a month or two for a psychiatrist appointment when I felt I could barely last another minute. There are few conditions worse than to be terrified of oneself. You cannot leave your body. You cannot escape. Everywhere you go, there you are. As the character Lucifer explains in Milton's Paradise Lost, hell is not so much a physical place than a state of being, one he carries with him wherever he goes. My only refuge from the hell, which had become my very self, was sleep. A dreamless, inky, black sleep that provided no rest, left me without appetite or humor. As I pored over the books I purchased, trying to find an answer, my father said something that continues to resonate with me to this day. You're not going to think your way out of this. He was right. Studying cancer research will not cure you of your cancer. It was not about what I was thinking, but what I was feeling. Eventually, I did see a psychiatrist and was diagnosed with major depression with OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder. Slowly, incrementally, along with talk and pharmacologic therapy, but it seemed like the size of Jupiter pressing upon me got smaller and smaller and smaller until one morning I realized I was no longer in fear of myself. The summer-long panic attack had passed, but it was not, nor will it ever be, forgotten. As I would learn, depression is not a cold, it's a chronic condition that can return almost any time, with or without a traumatic life event, to send you spiraling. I've learned to embrace elements of my condition. Being OCD makes me very detail-oriented, which has proven helpful in my careers, from reporter and editor to university instructor to public relations professional. So I guess even mental illness can have a silver lining. I'm extremely fortunate now to be married to a woman who understands that she's endured her own demons. In January 2016, before a large crowd at Morgan State University, she delivered a TEDx talk about her experience with schizoaffective disorder. So now we monitor each other. We look for the warning signs. We encourage each other. We speak out when we can, telling our stories about mental illness, doing interviews, writing blogs. We remind each other to take our medication and to seek therapy when the going gets too tough. Depression, anxiety, they are eternal traveling companions. However, we don't have to give them the front seat.